I'm trying to sell one of my horses. When I tell a buyer about her, I try to give a lot of details about her training, her vet history, and her background before giving my price. I watched the video where you described how to present training to the public. You present by details first, and then lastly, price. What questions should I be asking? I'm very frustrated with the process of selling horses. People don't seem to care how much work I put in or how much this mare knows. I had one guy today tell me I wasted his time because I gave him too many details and ignored his price question. I purposely waited until the end to say the price. Am I doing something wrong? I'd rather keep the horse than sell her cheaply to a trader. Could you give examples of what to look for and how to sell horses?
Okay, Elizabeth. So you have a damn good question, okay? And I'll just tell you how I do it, and it's worked well for me. So you are right. Like when a trainer calls up, well, not a trainer, when a customer would call up during the academy program, okay? I always tell the academy students when somebody a new customer calls you and says, "What do you charge for 6 weeks of training or a month of training?" You don't tell them the price. You tell them all the things they're going to learn. You tell them how much you're going to work with their horse, what the horse is going to learn, what the guarantee is, blah, 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 blah. You tell them all the benefits of them sending the horse to you, which is a lot of benefits to it. And at the very end, you give the price, okay? And that works really well because we're very expensive. When people send us a horse for the academy program, we're $6,000 for 6 weeks and board on top of that. So that's very expensive. But if you just heard that straight off the bat and you weren't familiar with me or my method or how we train horses, you'd say, well, that's 5 times higher than the local trainer down the road from Walmart. He charges $800 a month, okay? But the guy down the road from Walmart, he's going to charge you, he's going to ride the horse 30 minutes, 3 days a week. We're going to spend 2.5 hours a day with your horse, 6, sometimes 7 days a week. So you get what you pay for. So we're going to give you a lot, but we're going to charge you a lot, which most people don't care as long as they get what they're paying for. However, when it comes to selling horses, and that's what your question really is about, is how to sell a horse, it's almost the complete opposite. I want to lead with the price because it doesn't matter how well trained your horse is, how much you love it, how good you think that horse is. If it's not in somebody's budget, it's not in somebody's budget. So no amount of selling is, if they've got a budget of $7,500 and your horse is priced at $30,000, there's probably no way you're going to get them to buy a $30,000 horse when their budget was only $7,500. So what I do when I sell horses is I did the complete opposite. I would lead with the price, more so in the advertising. So that if I've got a horse, before, 4 years ago when we had the signature horse program, they used to sell, I think at the end, they were like $35,000 for a signature horse. Price of horses have gone up so much, they pretty much doubled in the last 4 years. So if I had the signature horse program now, honestly, I wouldn't sell that same horse less than $60,000 in today's money today, okay? Maybe a little more. But when I was selling signature horses, I wanted them to know the price up front because I'm trying to scare the other buyers off. I'm trying to scare people off that don't have the money to buy this horse. You might like a Porsche 911. So the salesman might tell you how great a car it is, what it does, walk you around it, let you sit in it, let you drive it. But reality is, if you don't have a couple $100K to buy it, you're not going to buy it. It's that simple. So I want to kind of not have people waste my time. So in your question, you said the buyer, well, potential buyer, was annoyed that you wasted his time. Well, I don't want to waste their time, and I sure as hell don't want them to waste my time either. So the price will typically get rid of the customers you don't want to deal with. Now, when I say deal with, everybody's poor once. Everybody doesn't grow up with money typically, unless you're part of the Lucky Sperm Club, and 99% of people aren't part of that, okay? So we've only got a budget. So we have to make what we've got work for that budget. So what I would do is say, here's what the horse is priced at. That way you know if anybody contacts you, when I say anyone, within good reason, they know what it's going to cost. Sure, they might try to negotiate with you a little bit, 10, 20%, but they know they're not going to get the horse half price, especially if you put the price and say firm behind it. So, like me, for example, have I been catfished before and had a horse for $75,000, a performance horse, a 2-year-old for sale for $75,000, or a yearling, and somebody comes to my ranch, looks at the horse, I take him out to dinner, I take him out to lunch, I'm rolling out the red carpet, and then they're like, yeah, this horse is not in my budget. Sure, that's happened to me. Doesn't happen often, but I was sure pissed when it did happen, because I'm wasting a ton of my personal time and energy thinking they've got the money to buy this particular level of horse when they really don't. So will you get some dishonest people every once in a while that'll just catfish you and waste your time and your energy? The answer is yes. You can't help that. But typically, most people are pretty honest. So they don't bother going and looking at a $200,000 Porsche if they don't have $200,000 to go spend. Okay, so I lead with the price to try to establish who your potential buyer is. Now remember, to every level of the horse industry is another level of price. Okay, your beginner type horse is going to be cheaper than the next level, and then cheaper than the next. And every level you go up in quality of horse and the better trained it is, the more expensive it gets. You know, in today's market in 2023, you don't get much horse under 30,000 that's trained anymore. You really don't. In the quarter horse world, I'm talking cutting, reining, cow horse, you get a reject that didn't make it in those industries with some training, maybe for 30K. Now, I'm not saying you can't get the backyard horse that's by the Andalusian stud, out of the Appaloosa mare, that goes back to Secretariat, that has the Belgium draft horse on Budweiser commercial in its bloodline. Clinton, I can get that horse for $4,500. What you talking about? That's exactly what it's going to be too. You don't get a Mercedes for the price of a Toyota Corolla. A Toyota Corolla is a nice little car, very reliable, but it ain't a Mercedes. You get what you pay for. It's that simple. You get what you pay for. Okay? I'd rather people own one great horse that takes care of all their needs and is really well trained than 7 average horses or poor horses that they got to feed, shoe, vaccinate, vet bills, and take care of, and none of them do very well. So lead with the price, and then you'll say, sir, is this in your budget or not? If they say yes, then you can go into what you've done with the horse. Okay? So place the horse where you think the customer has got that kind of money. If I'm wanting $30,000 for a horse, I'm not going to take it to the local sale barn where the horses average $1,500. Okay, so keep that in mind. Okay, so I would lead with the price first to try to scare people off so that they don't waste my time and energy on the phone, or even worse, in person.